Without doubt, the most famous ship to fly the Australian White Ensign, HMAS Melbourne, was laid down in April 1943 as HMS Majestic. With the ending of World War II, all construction work stopped, as the British Royal Navy no longer needed another aircraft carrier. The arrival of carrier-based jet aircraft and new British inventions in carrier design, such as the angled flight deck, steam catapult and mirror landing system, meant that the ship had to be redesigned to incorporate these latest advances in technology. This delayed the completion of the Melbourne, and she was finally accepted into the RAN service on the 8th of November 1955. With her arrival in Australian waters in 1956, the HMAS Melbourne became the flagship of the Royal Australian Navy, an honour she would hold for the next 26 years. HMAS Melbourne carried British-built ferry gannets and sea venoms, which were used to form 816, 817 and 808 squadrons. Sycamore helicopters performed search and rescue operations until the arrival of the Wessex in the early 60s. The Wessex provided the first anti-submarine warfare helicopter operations from the Melbourne and continued in a search and rescue role until 1982. The operation of large, fast warships has always been a dangerous business, and this was brought home to the Australian public in 1964 when the Melbourne and HMAS Voyager collided, with the loss of the destroyer and 82 of its crew. And again in 1967 when the Melbourne and the USS Frankie Evans collided, with the loss of 72 American sailors. Despite the accidents with the Voyager and Frankie Evans, which were not the fault of the Melbourne, she proved to be one of the safest ships operated by the RAN. In 27 years' service, only 4 crew were lost. All were air crew. In 1967, the Melbourne's air group of gannets and sea venoms were replaced by trackers and skyhawks. These, along with the later Sea Kings, served on board HMAS Melbourne for the next 15 years, showing the Australian flag on all the world's great oceans. In June 1982, the great but aging fleet flagship was decommissioned and lay mothballed, while a possible replacement was debated. The aircraft carrier role was ultimately replaced by fast helicopter-carrying FFG frigates. In April 1985, the Melbourne sailed out through Sydney Heads for the last time, under tow, for a breaker's yard in China.